we really wouldn't be here today without TFBIS, in the sense of we wouldn't actually be physically in this room because this community wouldn't have been formed and this particular event wouldn't have been funded. But we also wouldn't be here today without TFBIS in terms of where the sector has gotten to in information sharing, infrastructure and standards and all of those things, because a very large proportion of that work has been funded by TFBIS, and it really was quite inspired by the people who wrote the biodiversity strategy in 2000 to say, hey, we need an information management stream, and we want to do that as a contestable fund that people can bid into to do the work that needs to be done, because we don't know quite what that is and how that should emerge. TFBIS funded quite a number of applications in its first sort of 5 years, from 2000 to 2005, and that was largely driven just by applicants. So people applied and said, I want to digitise this set of data or this set of publications, or I'd like to make a portal to provide access to plant names, a whole range of different things. So if you go to just biodiversity.gov.nz, so once that had been going for a while, TFBIS got me to review the things that have been funded so far and see how they kind of aligned with the initial priorities and see how they aligned with the priorities that seemed to be kind of emerging as technology was moving more towards enabling federation. So if you click on our land and fresh water, up at the top navigation, and then you should be able to find your way through to so NZBS programs, and then you'll be able to find your way to TFBIS. So there it is down at the, yeah. There we go. So that's information about the TFBIS, about the program. You can see about applications, you can see about the things that are funded. If you just go down to and click on and open TFBIS strategy. So one of the things that we found was that, as I kind of demonstrated on that land data landscape map yesterday, there were some portals being built and lots of data being digitised, but there were some other areas that weren't really being funded proactively because applicants weren't applying for them. So we introduced a number of goal areas into the TFBIS strategy to kind of cover those gaps. So they were, number one, robust infrastructure to support interoperability, connection and sharing of biodiversity data and information. Number two, that important biodiversity data and information is secured against loss and available digitally. So that's kind of the digitisation one that still needed to be done. Biodiversity data and information are accessible to and usable by everyone who needs them. So that's kind of about portals and also about interpretive tools and exposing existing data and information sources for improved access. So that's sort of the top layer of that diagram, and the second one where there were the need for tools that enable you to make decisions. So decision support systems, identification keys, other kinds of interpretive tools that you can sort of suck data into, and then it helps you make some kind of decision. Number four, critical gaps in national biodiversity data and information are filled. So that's developing new information derived from existing data, that sort of secondary data layer that I showed on that diagram. And number five, what's supported Dataversity, that people involved in biodiversity research, policy and management know each other, coordinate their efforts and share their knowledge. So that first one, the infrastructure piece, That's been the context for Enzor, and there's going to be a number of other things, hopefully, that kind of come into that sort of category. In whatever way it emerges, something like a national weeds distribution database or pest distribution database or network or kind of federated set of layers will come into that. Also develop privacy, data access, intellectual property policies and frameworks, develop and propagate standards for data storage, curation and exchange, and prepare plans and guides for the supply and management of biodiversity data and information.
That's the thing, Julian.
That is the TFBIS strategy, so if you haven't read that, there may be parts of that that are interesting and relevant in terms of the big picture vision. If you kind of zoom down, you'll find the summary.
Not the final draft.
No.
When I had to
Right.
find locally.
Right, well done. Yeah, just to make that clear, that there is now a void. Keep zooming down, you'll find that table that so this one here, and again, yes, you can tell it's not the final, you're in the right place. You're not, the final version has the number incorrect as well, logically. So that's that infrastructure action area, and there is within TFBIS the intent to fund those kinds of things, and the scope to develop and propagate standards for data storage, curation and exchange. So if you're thinking about that and thinking about cooperating on those sorts of things, that's something that an application to TFBIS may well be quite well received, and it is a source of funding for that as we sort of march on and fill in that sort of federated data landscape and that vision of everything being connected. We're not going to do that in the next year, but in the next 5 years, the next 10 years, things are going to be, we will have gotten just as far as we have in the last 5 or 10, and I think we will actually realise a lot of the visions that we've had for being able to share and connect and mash up and exchange data.